All right, hello everybody. My name's Coach Kenneth, and this is.
Hey guys, I am Coach Maya Uton, and I am a plant-based certified nutritionist. I'm also a nurse, and I am a certified herbalist. And my husband?
I'm known as a chemoreceptor activation specialist. Pretty much what that means is I get people off of medication in 30 days or less and regenerate organs that were once thought to be impossible. And we're glad to be here.
Yes, so we own a business called Tag Team Unlimited Enterprises LLC, and I am the CEO of Maya's Organics, and these are natural herbs that we help also people from all around the world come to our store to buy our products that we can help serve the people and get them off of medication, because being on medication is not the solution, guys. So I was a nurse for 17 years in the hospital, and what I saw most was that people were just, the doctors were just treating the symptoms, They weren't really treating the root cause. And I just said, you know what? I am tired of giving out people 30 pills a day and not seeing anything change. So I started studying herbal nutrition and herbal medicine. Instead of giving out pills, now I'm taking people off pills and off medications, reclaiming their life so that they can live a pain-free life and get their health back. So that is what we do. That is what we specialize in. It's been absolute amazing journey, just seeing people turn around in their health, and Kenny's just absolutely amazing, and it's so good to be able to work along with him and do this day in and day out of what we do, and I absolutely enjoy it and love it.
Yep, so I've been into health and wellness since I was a little child, 8 years young. And I had a dream. I saw my cousin was a football player, right? My parents and my aunts used to speak very highly of him and said, wow. And plus he had these big muscles, right? So I said, man, I want to have big muscles like him one day. So my journey started off by doing what's called calisthenics, right? I didn't know anything about going to the gym. I was 8, but I knew how to do push-ups and jumping jacks, and I did things that would make me feel like I was building my muscles, getting stronger, right? And I fell in love with that. And it became part of my lifestyle. And it allowed me as an adult to become a personal trainer. And I researched and studied, and I worked at this gym, and they allowed me an opportunity to start training people on my own. Because initially I had to follow people around, right? Watch what other trainers were doing, look at their techniques, their style, and kind of pick up little bits and pieces from what they were doing, and then mix it with my own and create my own style. And it became so effective, I was the most requested trainer at that gym, right? Trainer of the month. Because I loved it. It was not just a hobby, it was a way of life for me. And then later on in my life, I started doing personal training people outside the gyms. Starting my own business, like a sideline business. And I got pretty good at it. People were getting great results. And then eventually, let's skip ahead to 2008. In 2008, when the economy took a hit, people were losing their jobs. People, the country fell into a bit of depression. At that point in my life, I had 20 personal training clients. But when the depression hit, I lost 19 clients. Only had one client. So, oh my God, what am I going to do? Right? And because I've been living this way for a long period of time as a personal trainer, I made the decision. I said, well, let me see if I can do this online. Let me see if I can go on Facebook and do on Facebook what I should do personally. And God led my direction, led my steps. And I remember at that point, I got one client, and he was a pastor, and he weighed over 300 pounds. And he hired me to train him virtually online. Now, this is my first time I'd ever done this before. But I just repeated the process that I would doing personally with people face to face. And long story short, he dropped over 50 plus pounds in less than 3 months. And so he became my poster child. I took his picture, took his results, and I just kept posting it on social media, posting on social media. Eventually, I created a following. People started coming to me, say, hey, can you help me drop weight? I want to lose 20 pounds. I need to do 30 pounds. Hey, do you design meal plans? And I would say, yes, I do. But I did none of that. But I saw a demand that the people wanted meal plans. People wanted direction. People wanted things that I hadn't had at the moment, but I created it. Right? They asked me if I made something, if I offered something. I never said no. I said, yes, I do. Now, that night, that day, I would create it. And now I got a brand new product. And one thing led to the next. Maya was a nurse, as she said earlier. And she saw, I pretty much pioneered virtual training at that time. And eventually we came together and formed Tag Team Unlimited Enterprises LLC. And utilizing that LLC and gave us an opportunity to meet people locally, but not just locally, but outside the area code, outside the zip codes. And now we're getting phone calls from people or text messages from people with cancer, with diabetes, with autoimmune diseases, right? Things that doctors said you're going to be stuck with for the rest of your life. There's no reversal. There's no cure for this. And people saw the work we were doing with people locally and people virtually, and they started reaching out to us. And because Maya has a medical background and I have a coaching background, this is a synergistically perfect relationship, because now she can talk about the meds, the diseases, and I was talking from a physical perspective, how to build the body, how to train the body. But then God continued to lead me down the road, because now not only was I able to build muscle, help people lose weight, but now I started learning how to get people off some blood pressure meds by changing their diets and using oxygen. And I wanted to share this right quick before I turn it over to my beautiful wife here. But at the core of every illness and disease, and this is where doctors drop the ball at, right? Whenever a person has a disease or an illness, the first thing they want to do, they want to give you some medication, right? Or give you some type of therapy, chemotherapy, or put you on dialysis. These are the things that they typically do with people, and especially people of color. And we grow up, we've been so indoctrinated to believe that the doctor has all the answers, that whatever the doctor says is God. That's law. But that's not the truth. See, these studies, this research that has been shown that if a person has kidney disease or heart disease, they say it's irreversible, it's incurable. This research was done on people who particularly had a meat-based diet or a processed food diet. Now, research done on those type of diets, when they tell you this is impossible to cure, this is impossible to reverse, well, they're actually right. They're telling you the truth. But what's not talked about is the research that's been done on people who have whole food plant-based diets, or oxygen and water-rich diets, or raw vegan diets. Those studies show that your kidneys do regenerate. Those studies show that your heart does regenerate. As a matter of fact, the number one killer of people in the world is heart disease. But the number one diet, and the only diet that's been proven to show that it can reverse heart disease and stop heart disease, is a raw, whole food, plant-based diet. What do I mean by that? A diet rich in oxygen and water. See, doctors drop the ball because they only treat the symptoms. Correct. They don't address the underlying cause. Correct. They have no idea that by addressing a disruption inside the body, because whenever you have a disease, you don't have a disease, you have lost charge in your cells. Yeah. Your body lost charge. Let me elaborate a little bit more. Your cells is the standard of your life, right? But within those cells, you have atoms. Within those atoms, you have subatomic particles. At the core of who you are, there's energy and information. But in order for this to function properly, you need oxygen, water, and electrical charge. Without that, if there's a disruption in just one of those, you have some type of dysfunction inside the body. Might be migraines, constipation, some skin issues, right? Minor dysfunctions. But if there's a disruption in two of those things, now you have a disease. It can manifest in any type of disease: cancer, fibromyalgia, IBD, lupus, scleroderma. Right? You can pick and choose, because when there's a disruption of any of those three elements, you're going to be disrupted as a human being. But in order to reverse an illness or a disease, you have to address those. You can't address it with medication, right? You can only get these three elements from fruits and vegetables. Genesis 1st chapter 29th verse, the Bible, God said, "For every tree that has seed within itself, a fruit that has seed within itself, for you it shall be food." That was God's original diet for mankind. It wasn't until Genesis 9th chapter that God said, pretty much paraphrasing, "Well, you're no longer a perfect human being. I will no longer hold you to the perfect diet. I'm going to now turn the animals into your hands, and they're going to be afraid of you because you're going to be eating them too." See, we were never meant to eat meat. That was never God's original plan. His plan was Genesis, the original. And that's Genesis 1st chapter 29th verse.
Yes.
And we thrive off of diets like that. Even science backs this up. Now, I'm going to go a bit more into that, but right now, I want to ask my wife a question. And Maya, as long as you've been in the medical industry and you saw people who had cancer, what was the most common things that oncologists would do?
Put them on chemotherapy. The first thing they would do is always put them on a drug. And with working with cancer patients, I would see they would come in and they would get their treatments. And I promise you, within 1 year, all of my cancer patients were dead. They were all dead. And the thing is, most of them didn't even die from the chemo treatments. They died from not having enough white blood cells, because as you know, the chemo kills the good cells and the bad cells.
Right.
So they didn't even have enough white blood cells to fight off any infection. So if they were outside and they would get nicked, boom, they would die. Sepsis kicked in, and then boom, they're dead. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them died from complications of chemotherapy they would just die of. So that's what I saw a lot. When I worked for an oncologist, he couldn't even say, his wife had colon cancer, he couldn't even save her. She was on chemo, she died. She died. So with me seeing this, I was like, there had to be a better way. They're just treating the symptoms and not the root cause. And because doctors don't study nutrition,
Right.
which is the foundation,
Right.
that's where your terrain, you got to get to the foundation.
Right.
So with them not studying nutrition or knowing anything about nutrition and to heal the body, and they're just treating the symptoms, this is where I said, there's got to be a better way. And that's where I got into healing with nutrition, and that's how we've helped so many people. So we're going to get started with the questions. First question. So.
All right. So one of the questions we got was about peripheral neuropathy. And peripheral neuropathy is when the peripheral nerve cells have been damaged. And that's outside the brain and spinal cord. And people who are diabetic, for example, suffer with pins and needles.
Yes.
Right? People
the burning.
Right, the burning sensation.
They complain about the burning sensation, especially in the feet.
Right. Right.
Peripheral neuropathy. So a lot of these people are on medications that I notice. A lot of people have high blood sugar. A lot of diabetics have neuropathy, but they don't understand that it's caused by what some of the medications are depleting their B vitamins, okay? And B vitamins are essential for rebuilding the myelin sheath, for helping with your nerves. And when that is not in place, this is why you have these burning feet. So you want to, when it comes to that,
Can you explain to the audience what a myelin sheath is?
So that is what protects your nerves. The myelin sheath is what protects your nerves. So without that, you're going to have, and your neurotransmitters. So without that, that's what where your B vitamins come in to help with that, right? Protect the nerves. So once you start taking B vitamins, like I would take a B complex. People say, okay, you say to take the B5, the B9, the B12. How can I get this all in one supplement? So you want to take a B complex, and people always ask me, okay, Maya, what brand? What brand do you take? So I recommend Solgar brand of vitamins, and that comes in a brown bottle. Solgar's been around for years. I trust them. They're not from China. Number one. So it's a very, very good vitamin to take. So B complex. And then you want to take your vitamins in liquid form, Kenny.
Yes.
So that's very important because you have a 98% absorption rate when you take stuff in liquid form. It's just better. It gets into the bloodstream faster and you can absorb it much more quicker. So I prefer my vitamins in liquid form, whether I'm taking vitamin D3, B, even, our CMOS is in gel form, So you want to take your vitamins, very important, in liquid form. Faster absorption, pills, tablets, 30% absorption rate. Okay, so the very important, guys, that you take your vitamins in liquid. Oh, we have to supplement. So when it comes to neuropathy, you are being depleted of B12, and that can come from also taking a lot of blood pressure medicines.
Also,
Depletely.
metformin.
Yeah.
Metformin is a big issue when people have diabetes
Yes.
because metformin can actually make neuropathy worse.
Yes.
And if you're a man, you definitely do not want to be taking metformin because you'll have erectile dysfunction, right? And if you're married, that can be a problem in the bedroom, right? So wife ain't gonna be too happy with that.
No.
But there's a quick way to get off of metformin, and this is not known by the doctors. As a matter of fact, metformin has been recalled 3 times in the last 5 years. Right, that's something else that the public has no knowledge of. But
Yes.
you can literally get off of metformin in 24 hours just by adopting fresh watery fruit as a diet. Right, fresh water. People say, well, Kenneth, won't that drive my sugar up?
Right.
No, because here's the thing about fruit. Fruit has fiber, and the fiber slows down the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream. Right, so you can switch out fruit for the other complex carbs you normally have, and your blood sugar will regulate. Right, so you want to start eating fresh, like watermelon, like mangoes,
Berries.
Berries.
Berries are low
Right.
in sugar.
Right.
People are always worried, if I take an orange and
Right.
pineapple, my sugar's gonna go through the roof. Well, everybody's sugar goes up after
Right.
eating.
Right.
It's getting it back down, and that's where you talked about the fiber.
Right.
The fiber is going to help stabilize your blood
Right.
sugar. So we want to do more berries. Berries
Right.
are great for healing.
Yes.
Berries
Yes.
are wonderful for
Yes.
healing.
Yes.
Load up on berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. Those are all low in sugar. So if you are just really just worried about your sugar, berries, guys. Berries,
Right.
berries.
Right. Very good for diabetes. And fruit, the different colors tell you a story.
Yes.
It tells you what's within that fruit, right? And when you learn to read those fruit, you can heal the body. And it doesn't take a long time. We have become very successful at helping people get off of high blood pressure medications, insulin, especially metformin, in less than 30 days, sometimes in as fast as 12 days. I had one gentleman, he's a comedian for a church in DC. He was diagnosed with diagnosed with cancer, and also he was diabetic. Plus he weighed over 300 pounds. He was taking metformin. So he hired me, bought a product of mine, and I said, listen, if you adopt this meal plan, you'll be able to get off of metformin in 1 day. So he took me up on it. And he took snapshots of his sugar levels. Now his blood sugar would get as high as like 212, 213. But then within 24 hours, he took 4 individual snapshots of his blood sugar after following my protocol. It went from 212 to 192 to 164 down to 150 something in less than 24 hours. And then eventually dropped down even lower. He said, man, look at this. He said, it's been a blessing. He said, I'm getting ready to have my smoothie, but I just wanted to show these numbers. These numbers I took today.
Wow.
And he was excited about that. And there's another gentleman and his aunt. The young man had kidney disease, and he had 5% kidney function. His aunt wanted to support him in his journey, so she ate the same foods that he ate. Now, she didn't expect anything. She was just going to support her nephew, right? This is a nephew. Her blood sugars was as high as 300 plus. By following my program for 30 days, it got down as low as 105. And she lost, I think, 16 pounds in the process, right? So fruit is the secret weapon to reversing type 2 diabetes. It's a secret weapon to lowering your blood sugar. So don't be scared of eating fruit. Fruit does a body good.
Yes, absolutely. And when it comes to diabetes, you really want to focus on the liver.
Right.
The liver is responsible, has over 500 functions, but there are pathways that get blocked in the liver. And when you're eating meat, a lot of people come to us with fatty liver, especially Latinos, got a lot of fatty liver. So you want to help cleanse your liver. Even though the liver is responsible for detoxing, the foods you're eating you're overloading the liver with so much toxins that it's not able to really handle it. So you're left with fatty liver,
Right,
you're left
right.
with diabetes,
Right.
you know, you're left with high cholesterol, you're left with high blood pressure. But once you start to detox that liver, flush that liver out, you can automatically lower your blood sugar,
Right.
lower your blood pressure. Your liver is also responsible for your hormones. So once you flush the liver, you will see an improvement in your hormones, especially people
Right,
who are
right.
dealing with PCOS and you have high cortisol levels. You got to flush the liver. People who are also dealing with high cholesterol and also fatty liver, flush the liver, guys. That is so important, and it will help to regulate your hormones.
Right.
You won't have all these issues. So how can we do that naturally? There's several ways. So I'm a big believer in celery juice. Celery juice, celery juice, celery juice has been a lifesaver for me, because if you deal with arthritis, inflammation, eczema, gout,
Yes, gout.
celery juice, because celery juice removes uric acid from the body, and that is why you have gout in the first place, because of a buildup of uric acid. So these are things that are natural that God has made. You know what I'm saying? I tell everybody you can heal yourself naturally with things, oh my gosh, that are living. As you see, the cures are really in nature.
Yes, it is.
They're found in nature, and they're not found in things that are dead, but things that are living. So once you put more living things into your body instead of dead, you will start to heal the terrain, and it all starts in the gut. So how we're going to repair the gut, you know what I'm saying? And that is the foundation of healing. It's not a pill. It's really not an herb, but it is, the foods have to be the foundation of healing. So you want to build upon those foods. So celery juice has been a game changer for me. I used to have eczema really, really bad, and I would break out. I used to have tennis elbow. I would just be breaking out in the creases of my arms with these little dots. I didn't know what that mess was. It just kept coming back. But at the time, I had a really bad diet. I was eating Pizza Hut, Meat Lovers Pizza.
Yeah, you name it. It was on the menu.
I was eating so much
Wendy's, McDonald's.
And this was when I was actually a nurse in the hospital, because let me tell you, we were stressed, baby. You know, nursing is not an easy job. It is a very high stress, depending on where you're working, and don't be working in ICU. Oh my gosh, super, super stressful, okay? So we would eat, especially night shift. Of being a night shift nurse, baby, we would come with the food. You hear me? We would have buffets and potluck, you name it. So we would be eating and gaining weight at night. We ate so bad, And I remember I would just be breaking out. I would be at at the desk, and I would look out. I was like, oh my gosh, my skin is breaking out. What is going on? And it wasn't until I transitioned to a plant-based diet where I was able to heal myself. I healed myself totally of eczema. And guess how I did it? Plant-based diet. I started doing more smoothies with blueberries, which had antioxidants. I was started drinking my celery juice, and celery juice is what really cleared me up because it cleanses and purges that liver, and it also removes all that uric acid from the body. So I was able to just totally heal myself of the skin issue. I would go to the dermatologist. The dermatologist was not helping me at all. The dermatologist did not help me at all. They gave me a cream and it didn't work. A lot of you are going to dermatologists and no, you're not getting any help. You have cysts, you have boils, you've got breaking out, you got scleroderma, you got psoriasis, all this stuff. And when all you need to do is cleanse out your liver. Honestly, all you got to do is cleanse that liver, baby, and your skin will clear up just like that. And that's how I was able to get off those anything for eczema. That was my healing, was celery juice. Celery juice purges that liver. Another thing that purges the liver is ginger. Ginger is hot. You ever been into ginger? Woo-hoo!
Yes, it is hot.
Ginger is hot, and guess what? The liver loves hot. So, and even I want to say this about ginger. Ginger is so amazing that it is equivalent to having radiation. If you are somebody who is a cancer patient, honey, you better get you some ginger. Ginger, hot. I juice it. You can do a juice with it.
Right. Yep.
You can juice it
quite a bit. Ginger.
And we juice it. And so we'll juice ginger, we'll juice beets, we'll juice celery, and just 16 ounces
and garlic also.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about we'll definitely talk about garlic and how it lowers blood pressure. But you know, celery juice also lowers blood pressure. It's also great for losing weight. It's nature's Ozempic. It's great for any skin issues, all because it focuses on the liver. It is impossible to have any disease in your body if you keep the liver clean. And so there's just natural things that you could be doing, incorporating into your diet. 16 ounces of celery juice. Whenever my routine is, when I wake up in the morning, I am doing 16 ounces of celery juice. But before I even do that, what are we drinking? We're drinking key lime water.
Right.
We're putting key limes. I cut a key lime in half. I squeeze it into hot water, guys. That is the key. It's got to be hot. First thing on an empty stomach. Key lime water. What does it do for your body? It alkalizes your body, right?
Right. Key lime is electrical, alkaline, oxygen rich. And I want to touch on something right quick since we're talking about the liver.
Yes.
Now, two things I want to talk about. Your liver naturally produces cholesterol, LDL and HDL. Now, when a person has high cholesterol, the doctors say they put them on a statin.
Correct.
And here's the thing about that. You cannot get high cholesterol from eating plants.
No.
Plants have no cholesterol, period. You can only get high cholesterol from eating meat, so meat byproducts. Yes. So your liver makes enough cholesterol for the entire body without any outside help. But here's the problem. Here's how high cholesterol happens. Meat naturally has LDL cholesterol within itself. So when you eat meat for breakfast, meat for lunch, meat for dinner, meat snack around the clock, you're overdosing on LDL. So your LDL levels increase, and that's what leads to plaques inside the arteries. And now they want to put you on a statin, and a statin actually shrinks your brain.
Yes.
And one of the side effects is joint pain, muscle pain. Why am I hurting so much? Because you're taking these statins that you don't need to take if you clean the liver, purge the liver, and add more raw fruits and vegetables to your diet. Now, something else that's tied into this, when the plaques start to become congested, the LDL, well, your blood pressure can rise also. Now you got high blood pressure. And the doctors say, well, you have high blood pressure. They put you on these meds. But high blood pressure, matter of fact, chronic dehydration has been misdiagnosed as high blood pressure. So you don't have high blood pressure, you're chronically dehydrated.
Absolutely.
Because when you're not hydrated, your blood thickens. Your body does these physiological changes within itself to protect itself, but the symptom of this is it increases your blood pressure. And they put you on these meds. So whenever a person says, Kenneth, how can I how can I get off these blood pressure meds? Well, drink more water.
That's number one.
But
yes.
not just any type of water. You're going to drink keyline water,
right,
alkaline water, oxygenated water, right? This water has the ingredients within itself, or the oxygen within itself, to hydrate your cells, your tissues, your organs. See, a lot of people go to the stores, the Publix, they buy these bottled waters, right? And they drink 10 bottles of water a day, 10 bottles of water a day, right? They go to the doctor, I say, oh, you're dehydrated. What? Dehydrated? But I drink all this water.
Right.
But the water they're drinking is dead water.
Correct.
It's acidic water. It's doing nothing for the body. But you're spending all this money on water that goes through a triple filtration process, or a process called reverse osmosis. Now, if you ever buy a bottle, next time go to the store, pick any bottled water and turn around and look at the back of it, right? It says reverse osmosis or triple filtration, right? It'll say purified water with, these have electrolytes
so
added.
They're adding extra stuff to the water.
And here's what happens, right? To purify the water, it goes through a filtration process. This is what they don't tell you. Before you drink that water, they take undrinkable water. The water is undrinkable. And they go through a triple filtration process, right? Put it through reverse osmosis, and now make undrinkable water drinkable. Well, why was it undrinkable before? Because it had pharmaceutical drugs in it. It has arsenic in it. It had waste matter in it, right? Water you wouldn't drink to save your life. They take this water, triple filter it, reverse osmosis, and now put it on the shelf and say it's drinkable. And it still has a 5% probability that it's still contaminated.
Wow.
This is what the public don't know. This is why you drink 10 bottles of water a day and still dehydrated. Saying what you don't know will kill you.
Exactly. What does the Bible say about that? My people perish because of lack of knowledge. You know, so it's so important to change what you're putting in your body if you want to see a difference. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to start with the keyline water.
Right.
It's electrical.
It's electrical. It's oxygen rich.
Yes.
And your body recognizes this as a nutrient that it needs.
Yes. And also coconut water.
Right. Coconut water is
it's
very
H3O2, you know?
That's called structured water.
Structured water. So I do a lot of coconut water. I go to the farmer's market. They open it up for you fresh right there. They cut it open. And now I'm drinking something that's going to hydrate my cells, because this is not going to cut it. This is not going to do it, guys. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people ask about spring water as well, you know? But water itself is, like you said, is not doing anything. You've got to put those key limes. And key limes are those tiny limes that you can buy them at Publix, your local supermarket, your farmer's market. And they actually have seeds in them. They're tiny. You want fruit with seeds. But if you're in an area where you cannot get fruit with seeds, it's better to have eating fruit than not be eating fruit, okay? So I'm big on that. Just get you some fruit in. If it has seeds, wonderful. Yes, that is the best, okay?
Right.
So we're eating, we're doing more fruit, we're doing more vegetables, you know, in our diet, because that's going to be your foundation to getting out of pain.
Right.
So yes, it is so important.
Now let me share a bit more about water. Now, I work with a lot of clients and say, Kenneth, I drink water all the time, drink a lot of water. Here's the downside of drinking a lot of water. And if you drink a lot of water and the water is depleted of electrolytes, then when you're drinking this water, and this is very important for people who have kidney disease, kidney problems, you actually rinse or wash out all the electrolytes, like the sodium that your body needs. And
Yes.
sodium is what balances the water throughout the entire body.
Right, and that's called hyponatremia. And your doctor might use that term with you where you have low sodium. And I
Right.
saw that a lot in the hospital. People who came in with hyponatremia because they're drinking so much water
right.
that it's flushing out
Right.
all of your electrolytes. Yes.
And that can kill you. You can die from drinking too much water. So what we do, we take a little pinch of salt.
Yes.
Right, and
But not just any salt.
Yeah, not any salt. You're going to use Celtic sea salt, right? Celtic sea salt, there's another salt called Kona salt, Kona. That's a Hawaiian salt, right? Overall, it's a little bit better than Celtic sea salt, but Celtic sea salt is the top dog when it comes to hydration.
Yes, it is.
You take
Yes,
a
it
little
is.
pinch, put it under your tongue, wait for like 30 seconds, and then drink it down with water. What that does is it locks in, it pulls the water into the cells, it locks in the hydration, so you stay hydrated a lot longer. Now, this is more effective than coconut water. Coconut water will hydrate you faster,
Yes.
but it doesn't keep you hydrated very long. When you put the Celtic salt under the tongue, drink it with water, it keeps you hydrated a lot longer. Plus, you're getting like 70 to 80 plus trace minerals and electrolytes that the body needs. So you can drink as much water as you want then because you're locking it in and you're getting the electrolytes instead of rinsing it out, washing it away, and putting yourself in jeopardy, especially if you have a very unhealthy meat-based or processed food diet, right? So these diets age you literally biologically down to the cellular level because they lack oxygen and lack water. See, your body needs two things more than anything else.
Yes.
It needs oxygen and it
And
needs water, right? The third thing is electricity.
Got it.
But you cannot get oxygen and water from eating a steak.
No.
You can't get oxygen and water from eating fried chicken. You can't get oxygen and water from drinking milk. So milk doesn't really do a body good because
No.
when you drink milk, right, your body has to metabolize the protein within the milk. But by metabolizing this protein, it leaves or creates a bunch of acid.
Yeah.
And the only way your body can eliminate that acid is take calcium and negate it. But milk is supposed to have this calcium, right? The calcium you need for your bones, but now you're not getting the calcium because the calcium from the milk's been used to negate the acid that's produced by the metabolism of the protein in the milk. So that's why America has the highest rate of osteoporosis.
Yes.
So if milk does the body good, what's the problem?
Come on now.
So when it comes down to animal protein or eating meat-based diets, these diets have been shown by science to age your cells very fast. When you have a whole food, oxygen and water rich diet, which is plant foods, they slow down the aging process down to the cellular level. This has been backed by science, right? So what does that really mean, right? Let me paint a picture for you. Let's say you're 45 years young, right? You pretty much had a primary meat-based diet, processed food, went to Mickey D's a couple of times, right? You're 45 years young, 45 years old according to your birth date. But they test your telomeres, and telomeres are like these things inside the body that they shorten as the older you get, right? They do a test, and they come back, the test comes back and say, wow, you're 45 years old, but based on your biological age, you're 62. That's because the meat causes the body to work harder to create that and produce energy because it needs oxygen and water to break that stuff down. So if it's not getting it from an outside source, it goes into its reserves, its reservoir, and pulls the water out, pulls the oxygen out to break this stuff down to create energy. In the process, it ages you.
Right, because you're being dehydrated.
You're being dehydrated and have no oxygen.
Yes.
Now you have an oxygen and water-rich diet that you can only get from plant foods like fruits and vegetables. Now you have an outside source of oxygen and water coming in. The body doesn't have to work as hard to digest and metabolize this food, so the aging process is slowed down. Using that same scenario, you're 45 years young, according to your birth date. They do some tests, your cells are 32. You're actually younger biologically, a lot younger than the day you were born, than your actual age. So that's how foods affect the body, right? And that's why it's so important to understand how what you're eating is going to impact your health. You eat more than anything else in the world. That's the one thing you do more than anything else, right? You breathe more than that.
True.
But outside breathing, you want to eat. You got to eat 3 times, 4 times, 6 times a day. You're going to put something inside the mouth. Now, most of us just eat it because mama made it.
Right.
Grandma made it. It smells good. It tastes good. It looks good. It's tradition. Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we look at this. We didn't know. We look at this stuff and just eat it. But not realizing that every spoonful or forkful is bringing you to an early grave.
And that is so true. And I went through that with my parents growing up Jamaican, you know, eating the oxtails and the curry goat.
Talk about
and
it now.
my mama would be making, you know, fried fish.
Talk about it.
And she would be making pork. Unless we ate a lot of pork growing up, a lot of
Y'all
ham.
had that saltfish?
We had saltfish and
ackee, callaloo, and all that.
We had it, and we ate the rice and peas and the plantains, you know. And people would say, "Hey, man, y'all ate good growing up," you know. People think that is good eating, but I had to find out that no, that wasn't good eating, because that's what took my grandma out.
Yeah.
That's what took my mama out. My grandma died on dialysis. I watched her die on dialysis from kidney disease. My mama had high blood pressure. My grandma had high blood pressure. My grandma had diabetes. My mama had diabetes. I would see the insulin in the refrigerator, both of them on insulin. Both of them had tons of medications. Both of them would take it. Imagine my grandma and my mama having the same disease.
Wow.
Having the same disease, because guess what? They're both on the same diet.
Right. And they say disease runs in the family, but that's
No,
a lie.
It doesn't.
The diet runs in the family.
Bad diets run in the family. So I said to myself, I would not let that go another generation. It stops with me. So I changed my diet totally. We are totally plant-based family. Our kids are plant-based, so that we can live on for generations and pass this through generations, you know?
Right.
So yes, I refuse to be on any type of medication. I refuse to have diabetes. I refuse to have any type, be shooting myself. I would just watch my mama and both of them shooting themselves up with insulin.
Right. You know
every night.
You know what? You touched on something. You touched on something. On my father's side, I had 17 first cousins, right? Big family. Got 83,
Yes.
a bunch of cousins on my father's side, right? But the ones that I grew up with, I was like the middle cousin out of all 18 of us all together. And we lived our lives. You know, I grew up on a farm in South Carolina. My family moved from New York. Grew up on the farm. So I lived off the pork, the chicken, the eggs, the cow milk, and all that stuff.
Yes.
And for 43 years of my life, I had allergies. I used to get headaches. I had food allergies. I had hay fever, headaches. Later on, I started developing joint pain in my ankles. Now, I couldn't figure this out. I'm like, what's going on with me? I'm Mr. Fitness. I work out all the time. I've been in magazines. Why am I in pain? Then God led me to a person who had been plant-based or raw vegan for 25 years. And it was a video, a lady named Annette Larkins. Some of you might have heard of her. Annette Larkins lives here in Florida. And Maya was standing right next to me, and it was on YouTube. We were watching YouTube, and the news anchor woman said, "Can you guess this woman's age?" So I looked at the woman, I said, "Oh, she's 45 or 40 something." Maya said, "Like she's in her late 30s. Oh no. This lady was 71 years young.
Yes.
And that got my attention.
Yes.
I said, what?
Yes.
No plastic surgery. No, black woman, size 4, been raw plant-based for 25 years.
Better ask somebody.
I said, oh my God. And she showed us what she eats, what she drinks, how she makes her own juices from the plants and the fruits and the vegetables. An amazing story. But then the camera panned to her husband. And I looked at her husband and said, oh my God. There was only a 10-year difference in their real age, but he was wearing glasses, big pot belly, got a cane stick, high blood pressure, diabetic, looked every bit of his age. And out of his own admission, he said, sometimes me and my wife go out to dinner and people think my wife is my granddaughter. Or he said, wow, we didn't know you married a younger woman. Then he later said, I wish I had started back then when she did. And unfortunately, last year, he passed away. He died. He was bedridden because he never changed his diet. He was on a ton of medication. His wife is still young, and she's now 80 something, but still vibrant, dancing around like she has no issues.
Yeah.
Because she made a decision years ago when her husband remained the same.
Wow.
And when I saw that video and the disparity of how they look, I said, what? I was vegan just like that. There was no discussion. Right? In the blink of an eye, I changed my diet. But I say that to say this. Out of all my cousins, I'm the middle one. Now as an adult, all of my younger cousins and all of my older cousins all have diseases and illnesses on medication. I'm the only one that has no issues.
Wow.
I don't take a pill. I don't get headaches. I don't get sick. I don't get colds.
Nothing. We don't ever get sick. We don't. Our family doesn't get sick.
Our children don't get sick.
Nobody.
And people say, "Oh, Kenneth, you lucky." No, luck had nothing to do with it.
We didn't even have COVID. We didn't even get none of that.
Luck had nothing to do with it. It's understanding and following God's original plan in Genesis 1st chapter 29th verse. He said, every plant that has seed within itself, or fruit that has seed within itself, for you it shall be food. You can't go wrong with God's original plan.
That's right.
People say, well, Jesus ate fish. Yes, Jesus ate fish, but let me pose this to you.
Yes.
If Jesus came back during the time when Adam and Eve walked the earth, Jesus would have been vegan too. Because at that time, that was the only food that God allowed man to eat. It was only after sin entered into the world in Genesis chapter 9, 1st to the 5th verse, God said, well, now I'm going to let you eat the animals. So now, since God allowed man to now eat the animals, Jesus eating fish. Jesus eating lamb. Right? Because God permitted it. But in the beginning, it was not so.
Correct.
So,
and then you got to think about back then.
Back then it was different.
The sea wasn't polluted.
It was different.
Like it is now.
It was different.
You got to think of all the pollution.
Exactly.
It wasn't all these cruise ships we were going around dumping all that stuff in the ocean.
Not just that. I'm glad you brought that up. 2,000 years ago when Jesus ate fish, it was clean.
Come on now. It was clean.
A different animal. Now.
We living in different times.
Now, let me tell you how different. Now the government has a warning about fish.
Come on.
It's the EPA. It says.
Yes.
It says. It went as far to say it might be better to not eat fish at all. Why would they say that? Because now nearly every type of fish, freshwater and saltwater, has a deadly metal in it called methylmercury.
Yes.
Not mercury. We already know about mercury.
Correct.
Right? But methylmercury happens when mercury is absorbed into the fish's tissue. Right? And it turns it into something called methylmercury, which is a deadly poison. This is so deadly that now doctors tell pregnant women and nursing women stop eating fish.
Right.
Why do they tell them that? Because methylmercury is able to bypass something called the blood-brain barrier. There's a barrier that protects your brain. Right? The methylmercury bypasses this and affects your nervous system, causes neurological problems, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, right? Peripheral neuropathy. And here's the danger of that. You know, I'm not going to say this on camera, but we all know that years ago, we probably heard about, you know, you smoke a certain product, smoke a certain thing, it stays in your system for a long period of28 right? And it takes 28 to 32 days for it to leave your blood, right? Well, methylmercury is more dangerous than that. When you eat a piece of fish today, right? Let's say you eat fish once or twice a week. No big deal. And then you say, well, I'm going to stop eating fish right now. I'm cutting it out. The methylmercury, every time you consume fish, builds up inside the tissues. A little bit more stored, a little bit more stored, a little bit more stored. And now you stop eating fish. It takes up to 6 months for your body to detox that methylmercury out of your body.
Wow.
During that time, it's causing damage to your nerves. It's causing damage to your brain. And the doctors tell women, if you're pregnant or nursing, don't eat fish because when you're pregnant, you're eating fish, the methylmercury damages the development of that baby.
Yes.
If you're nursing, you're eating fish, the methylmercury is passing to that child. And it's causing havoc inside their body. Now you see all these birth defects.
Yes.
All these, you know, kids with problems wondering what happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the problems. This is part of the thing that happens. So people think that eating fish is a good thing. Not today, because the government says it's probably best that you don't eat fish at all. But if you do eat fish, eat this fish. And now they have a scale telling you which fish have the most methyl mercury, right? The highest to the least.
But you don't even hear this on the news.
No.
Nobody's talking about this mainstream about this methyl mercury. So this is a very good topic to talk about.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. And people think, I'm going to eat salmon, and salmon's so healthy.
No.
And then
if
you really got to limit how much fish you are taking in.
Right.
Even when we were working out, bodybuilders in the gym, we weren't allowed to just be eating fish all the time. They limited us to eating fish twice a week.
If you have fibromyalgia or a nervous problem, you need to stop. I'm going to put it out. You need to stop eating the fish because it's going to cause more pain. I've heard that people have fibro, people have all type of nervous issues, and they go to the doctor, and the doctor said, "What are you eating?" "Why eat fish?" And the doctor said, "Oh, that's great. You got a healthy diet. Fish is good for you. Omega-3 is good for the heart and stuff." But when they talk to me, when the doctor said fish is healthy, I said, well, that's what's causing the problem in the first place. Cut out the fish.
Correct.
And watch what happens. And sure enough, within 2 weeks, I got less nerve pain. Or if you got fibromyalgia, they have less elemental sensitivity. They notice a tremendous change, and it's because they cut out the fish. Right? So if you have any type of neural issue, cut out the fish.
The seafood, period. Seafood, period. It is the seafood because there are people who are eating shrimp, which is equivalent to eating a cockroach. It's just a sea roach. Okay? You're eating the shrimp. God made shrimp to clean the ocean. The ocean can't even get clean because y'all just eating up all the shrimp. Okay? So y'all need to cut out eating the shrimp so the ocean can get clean. Cut the crabs out, all that stuff. That stuff is toxic, guys. You guys are eating up crabs, all these crab trays, and then you're eating the shrimp, which are filled, and this is giving you parasites, guys. A lot of people come to us, they got lupus. No, honey, you have parasites. Okay? Y'all love them seafood boils. Y'all love them shrimp. Honey, that's wreaking havoc in your body. It is full of so much toxins. Because it only has one purpose. And that's to clean the ocean. And you're putting it into your body. And now you've got lots of parasites. And I'm here to tell you, even that pork, you can't even heat up pork enough to get rid of
the parasites.
Kill parasites. Okay?
Now, let's talk about lupus right quick. That's a hot topic.
Yes.
Right now, studies have shown, you can do your own research, but studies have shown that doctors are now becoming more and more aware that many people who've been diagnosed with lupus really don't have lupus at all.
No, they don't.
Because there's a parasite that mimics the exact same symptoms as lupus. So now they've been giving people the wrong medication, giving people medication for an illness they don't have. And that's why they can never get better. One reason why they can never get better, They have parasites. We've had people we work with, they tell us the symptoms. I say, you know what? No, you got parasites. And we put them on a parasite detox. Not just lupus, but MS also.
And fibromyalgia. It's known in MS to have round worms. They have found round worms in the colon of people who have MS. And these parasites take over your body, they take over your mind, and you will be having cravings. People come to us, I'm craving this, I'm craving that. You have parasites. You got the cravings, you're in pain. Especially people who have rheumatoid arthritis, which they say is an autoimmune disease, but these autoimmune diseases are really not what they are. They are just symptoms of you having parasites.
And tying that in, every autoimmune disease, every allergy, food allergy or hay fever has a common connector. It's the gut. You have disrupted gut bacteria, unhealthy gut bacteria. And and that can cause they're both immune responses. When you have an autoimmune disease, you have something called leaky gut. That's food particles leaking through the gut, and now your immune system is attacking and everything to try to save your life, and that's why it destroys its own tissues. So what we do to help a person reverse an autoimmune disease is heal the gut.
Exactly.
And you heal the gut by eating plant-based foods.
Right.
Right? First, you can do a detox, do a cleanse, right? But you want to start eating plant-based foods because plant-based foods feed the healthy gut bacteria. That's why I suffered with allergies for 43 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I had messed up gut bacteria. I didn't know anything about this at the time. I thought I was born with it. Right? This is something I'll have for the rest of my life. Get used to it. Right? Buy some Benadryl so I can stop sneezing and stay away from pork and beans and chickpeas and all that stuff. I'll be all right. But when God changed my diet to plant-based, raw plant-based, in about less than 3 months, I noticed a change. Right? We live in Florida, so in spring you can see the pollen all over the place. Pollen on the truck, on the ground, fresh cut grass. I'd be itching, scratching, sneezing, eyes watering. I walked out the house one day and said, hold up. I'm not sneezing anymore. I'm not itching. What happened? I said, oh, I changed my diet. I said, okay, let me see. I was so blown. I said, let me see if this vegan thing maybe did something with my food allergy. So I bought the last type of beans that broke me out.
Mm-hmm.
That was chickpeas. I took 2 teaspoons of that. I prepared myself first, right? But I had to find out if something had really changed inside my body. I took 2 teaspoons of that stuff. I had no reaction. I said, oh my God. And then I became like a kid in a candy store. I bought every type of bean and peas that sent me to the hospital. I wanted to test this theory out to see if I'm really cured. So the black eyed peas, the soybeans, the chickpeas, the pork and beans, all this stuff I started eating, I had no reaction. And the only thing that I changed was my diet.
Right.
That's the only thing I did different. 43 years of my life, I suffered with this every single year. All my life, from a child, when I was a little baby, or like 6 months, a year old, my mother gave me some black eyed peas. She had to rush me to the hospital. You can play connect the dots. I broke out in hives, my lips, my tongue swelled up, my eyes puffed up. She's like, oh, what's going on with my child? The doctor said, what did you give him? I gave him some beans. And they realized I had an allergic reaction to that food. He said, never give him beans anymore. He's allergic to it. And he was right. Until God said, you know what? Go to Genesis 1st chapter 29th verse. Put that video in front of me. Changed my diet. I had a whole new life. For the last 12 years, the same foods that sent me to the hospital, which are plant-based,
yes,
I can now eat whenever I feel like it. See, we should not be allergic to the natural plants. God made the plants for us. He made us. That was our original diet. So when you have an allergy to anything plant-based, you have been unnaturally detached from the earth. There's something inside the body that has to change. It's been disrupted.
Right.
So you got to get back to the essence. And the way to do that is to cleanse and detox.
Absolutely.
And start eating fresh, watery fruits and vegetables. And your body will heal naturally. No medication. That's how Maya is able to knock out eczema. That's how it stop the headaches, stop the food allergies, stop the hay fever, all that stuff. And we've been very successful helping people do exactly the same thing. So cancer.
Yeah.
People who have cancer also have parasites.
Yes.
Every person who's died, right? They did a study on this. They did an autopsy. They found parasites in the person's body.
Yes. So we want to just share some of the products. So I know we're going to get ready to wrap this up. I've got about 2 minutes left. So we want to share some of the things that you can get so that you can reverse this stuff, okay? First, Kenny will tell you about this.
Okay, so I've written manuals based on a lot of information we shared today. This is a 30-day lupus fast track wellness plan. Now this works with any type of autoimmune disease, except type 1 diabetes. I have something else for type 1 diabetes, but you have COPD, you have lupus, you have kidney disease, you have cancer, you have type 1 diabetes. We have programs and fast track solutions for that. So this is a book you can purchase, right? The hard copy is $125, but it's also downloadable for $99.
Yes.
So this is on our website, and we have other products over here.
I have herbs for high blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure, herbs for a great kidney detox. A lot of people have kidney stones. They come to us, so we have that. And then we have a detox. Everybody has to go through a detox because
Right.
if you've been eating meat for years,
gotta clean.
you want to cleanse out that
Right.
colon.
Right.
And then we have our sea moss gel that replaces your minerals. So you can go to www.seamossdepot.com to get the products. And Kenny, where can they download your book at?
Well, you can download my book. There's a new one I came out with also for type 2 diabetes, right? So you can reverse type 2 diabetes now.
Where can they download it at? Where can they find your products?
Well, email me. Email me. The best way to contact me is email virtualfitness360@gmail.com. I want to talk to you directly, right? I want to connect with you before you buy anything.
All right.
And thank you for sharing this time.
We want to thank Mr. Richard Christie, R. Christie Entertainment and Broadcasting for having us on his podcast today, sharing with you health and wellness. You can contact him at rdv@rcebmedia.com. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And we will see you on the next video.